I keep interrupting my work to make these YouTube videos, and I shouldn't really do it because, in comparison with the work I actually do, it doesn't really pay. But it's just so tempting. Look at all these. I've got all these orders. I've got dozens and dozens of orders to pack and send out today, and I'm just not going to get it done because I keep finding these interesting videos, these calls that are coming in on the line, and I want to make videos and comment on them. So yeah, here's Stepan calling in from Croatia. And he's got an argument about mathematics and how it proves that Jesus was resurrected. So let's have a listen. I can't resist it.
That Jesus has risen.
Yes, well, I think it's undeniable. If you can deny it, then it's your win. But
okay,
yes.
I deny. I deny it. I deny it because there's not a single property in mathematics that maps to Jesus. So, but go ahead.
No, I will use mathematics to make a conclusion from things we observe. Okay, so it's not like math here is only a tool, not like anything more. Okay, so the argument goes like this. So what's the probability of Jesus not being risen if we see that so many people believe in it? If so many people experience Jesus personally, if so many people see Jesus, in many cases, and in many situations, Jesus shows up in the churches. So what's the probability of all that if Jesus has not risen?
This is exactly the same argument with near-death experience, and the argument is, how can there be no life after death if so many people have reported leaving their body, astral projection, they've seen heaven or whatever? How could there be no life after death if there's such a bulk of people reporting similar things? It must be more improbable that it's untrue, because there's this weight of evidence which somehow increases the probability that these claims are actually true. And it's the same thing that he's saying. There have been so many reports of seeing the risen Jesus, etc., thousands and thousands of anecdotes. It must be irrational not to accept that on the sheer mathematics, on the sheer weight of anecdotal evidence, that in fact it must well be that Jesus was resurrected. Let's hear Matt's response.
So I have zero evidence that anyone has ever experienced or seen Jesus anywhere. I have plenty of people saying that they see Jesus or that they see the effects of Jesus, but until you can demonstrate that somebody who claims they saw Jesus actually saw Jesus, you don't get to use that as a data point.
Yeah, Stephen, what shape do you think the Earth is?
I think it's a globe. I know this isn't exactly the truth, but people kind of misrepresent it as being in the past everyone thought the Earth was flat. But at a time, if we imagine that the majority of people thought the Earth was flat, were they right? How could a majority of the people believe something and it be wrong, right? Because by your argument, if a lot of people believe it, it must be right. How could that many people be wrong?
Well, I suppose the difference there is that there's not really a difference, because he's saying that there have been people who've made claims that they've seen the risen Jesus, in the same way that before we knew with science definitively that the Earth is a globe, people will say that they had the experience of the Earth being flat, because that's how it seems to present itself. So yeah, I think Arden's probably right with that analogy.
My argument is how is it possible that all these seeings, all these beliefs are so consistent.
They're not consistent. They're not consistent, though. If you ask every individual in a church to describe what they think God is, guarantee you, even within the same denomination, you're going to get a ton of different answers.
Yeah, well, having said that, there are a lot of churches that you could go and ask somebody to draw a picture of what they imagine Jesus to look like, and he will be a Caucasian male, sort of light brownish hair that comes down to his shoulders. He will have a beard. He will have a fairly prominent nose, and most people would actually draw Jesus in that particular framework But and it may well be there's some truth in what he's saying, that there's a lot of consistency in how people see Jesus, for example, only because all of the Western artwork seems to point to that kind of representation of Jesus, though.
Okay.
So it's not consistent. If everyone gave the exact same answer every time, it might be a little more impressive. It wouldn't even still necessarily lead to the conclusion that you're trying to make, but it might be a stronger case. But it's not even like everyone is unanimous. People vary so much on their conception of God and the Bible and their beliefs.
So, for example, Stephen, there are people who think that God talks to them. And so if we took 100 people who think that God gave them a message, what percentage of those people are correct?
Okay, I see like where you're going, and I think that you actually won this argument.
Oh, Stefan?
Okay. Maybe I was like a little bit too confident in my way of thinking. But can I like give you one more argument that is not like connected to my...
I think that was very good, by the way. He conceded that he was not really assessing it correctly, and Matt and Arden both convinced him very quickly that he was wrong in his way of looking at things. That's quite a good success. Let's hear what else he's got to say.
First argument. So it goes like this. So it's actually a question. So like, what do you think about Catholic Eucharist miracles? If you've heard of them, it's like moment when this. I don't know the English word, but
I have no reason to think that any Eucharist miracle has ever occurred.
Yeah, like you have all these scientific reports where real scientists that were most of the time atheists, like they examined those Eucharists and concluded that it's a real human flesh, and they cannot explain how this human flesh.
It's not true.
How did they do that? So you put a wafer in your mouth, it starts dissolving straight away. Actually, I've never had one of them in my mouth. I've never, but you put it in your mouth, you swallow it, it goes into your belly, the digestion process starts. What are they going to do? Are they going to cut you open in that moment and take it and find it from your belly, take it from the acids and everything that are there, and I think, oh yes, look, that's the wafer, and it's turning into human flesh. I don't know where Stefan is getting his information, but I've got no reason to believe that these scientific tests have actually been done.
It's not true. What you're saying is not true. This is lies that have been fed to you and others by the church. If in fact there was a Eucharist miracle where the cracker turned into human flesh, then this wouldn't be once upon a time there's a report that some atheist scientist did it. Any scientist could get a Eucharist cracker that has been appropriately blessed or whatever. At whatever point the church says it turns into a body, we should be able to test it. And if a scientist can do it, then any scientist could do it, and there would no longer be any debate. It would be, hey, we have confirmed that when this cracker is prayed over in this way, it demonstrably, scientifically turns into flesh. But that's never, ever happened.
Maybe I misheard. I thought the claim was that when you consume the Eucharist cracker, that when it goes down, it turns into the flesh of Christ. I thought that was the claim, but I didn't realize that the claim was also that you could pray over it and bless it, and it would turn into human flesh.
Are believing stories, not evidence.
You there, Stefan? Oh, maybe not. Hello?
It shows I'm still on.
It's on a web call, which makes sense from Croatia, but sometimes the web caller can be a little bit unreliable, unfortunately. Wish we had a better system, but it's the best that we got. Oh, it's unfortunate.
Okay, that's it. So just to sum up, we've got this claim that mathematically it can be proven that Jesus exists, and he presented all the anecdotes in history, or at least he tried to say that there are just so many claims about Jesus, and they're so consistent that it would have to turn mathematics on its head. It's so, the sheer number of these claims makes it more probable that Jesus really did resurrect than that he didn't. And Matt correctly dealt with that. I thought that Arden's analogy about the fact that at one time most people on their experience thought the world was flat, but they were wrong. So the number of people that believe something on just purely experience does not indicate that it's actually true. No matter how many people believe it, the mathematics doesn't really come into it. And then, of course, is it transubstantiation, the process by which the cracker, a similar word, turns into the flesh of Christ? I think maybe he hung up when he realized that he'd called in with two absolutely preposterous claims. So yeah, he's been fed lies. There are plenty of Christian websites out there. I've been looking through some of them, and they're packed with lies. They're packed with lies such that we know who wrote the Gospels exactly. They were also witnesses, etc. We know this happened because, it gives me a headache actually reading them. The people do not check these things. And it gives me a headache as well dealing with near-death experience claims that because astral projection, shared death experience, etc., the whole lot, all these claims, there are just so many of them. Oh, it must be true. There must be really life after death. I'll tell you something. I'm starting to get a headache. I'm going to stop replying to some of the comments which are left on my channel. I'm going to let you guys do it because people just want to cling to these fantasies. They want to cling to them. They want to live forever. They don't want to die. Nobody wants to die, but it's a fantasy that we live forever. And it's a fantasy that Jesus was resurrected, I think. So that's about it. That's enough from me. Hope you enjoyed that. Bye for now.